I can't marry you. Christopher's voice echoed through the historic Atlanta estate, and 300 guests fell silent. Nala Addison stood frozen at the altar in her Nina Tornai gown, orchids woven through her natural hair, hands trembling around her bouquet. What? The word barely escaped her lips. Her fiancé, corporate lawyer, old money family, the man she'd planned a future with, took the microphone from the pastor. I'm in love with someone else. Someone who's carrying my child. The world tilted. Nala's vision blurred at the edges, sound muffled like she was underwater. This wasn't real. This couldn't be. A sudden movement in the bridesmaids' row caught Nala's attention. Her younger sister Aoife stood, tears streaming down her face and one hand pressed protectively over her stomach. The puzzle slowly clicked into place. Her fiancé had impregnated her sister. Nala's younger sister. Christopher's voice continued, distant and hollow. I'm doing the right thing by choosing my child. I hope everyone understands. Something cold and sharp crystallized in Nala's chest, replacing the shock with fury so pure it felt like ice in her veins. Get out. Her voice cut through his speech like a blade. Every eye turned to her. She stood taller, chin raised, the same posture she used in boardroom negotiations. Take your right thing and my sister and get the hell out of my sight. Her mother gasped. Nala, please, let's discuss this privately. Everyone out. Nala's hands had stopped shaking. The wedding is over. 300 people filed out in horrified silence while she stood at that altar, still holding her bouquet, watching her entire life implode in real time. Hello and welcome to Afro-Korean Romance Stories. This is our 8th video and we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Like this video and hit the subscribe button for more stories like this one. 6 hours earlier, Nala had been happy. Nervous, yes, but happy. She'd stood in the bridal suite, checking her reflection one last time before the ceremony. Everything was perfect. Everything was planned. At 30 years old, senior associate at Atlanta's most prestigious law firm, daughter of a respected judge, she was marrying the right man from the right family at the right time. Logical. Safe. Expected. Her maid of honor had burst into the suite, face stricken. Nala, I need to tell you something. About Christopher and Aoife. But Nala had waved her off. Whatever drama it is, it can wait until after the ceremony. She'd been so sure nothing could touch her perfect day. Now, standing alone in the estate's library 30 minutes after the disaster, still in her wedding dress, Nala finally let herself feel it. Not tears, she was too angry for tears. Her hands curled into fists, crushing the delicate fabric of her gown. Christopher had humiliated her publicly. Aoife had betrayed her completely. And she'd been too blind, too focused on maintaining appearances, to see it coming. Are you sad or mad? The small voice made Nala turn. A little girl stood in the doorway, maybe 5 years old, wearing a white flower girl dress and clutching a crumpled flower crown. Big eyes studied Nala with unsettling perceptiveness. Who are you? Nala asked, not unkindly. Hey one. My Halmione was at your wedding. She's talking to people outside. The child walked closer without fear. Are you sad or mad? Both. Hey one nodded like this made perfect sense. She climbed onto the leather sofa beside Nala, her small legs swinging. My daddy says family are the people who stay. Your family left. That's bad. Something about the child's simple logic cracked through Nala's composure. She laughed, the sound bitter and broken. Yes, sweetie. That's very bad. You can borrow my daddy. He never leaves. Before Nala could respond, a voice spoke from the doorway, the English accented with Korean inflection. Hey one, we discussed wandering off. Nala looked up, and her breath caught. The man in the doorway was tall, probably late 30s, with sharp features and eyes so dark they looked black. His suit was immaculate, expensive in a way that made Christopher's look off the rack. But it was the way he carried himself that made Nala's instincts sharpen, the controlled stillness of someone who didn't need to prove their power because everyone already knew it. I apologize. He spoke to Nala while watching his daughter with clear affection. She slipped away from her grandmother. It's fine. Nala's voice was steadier than she felt. She's been better company than anyone else today. The man's gaze shifted to her fully, and Nala felt assessed in a way that had nothing to do with her wedding dress or her public humiliation. His eyes took in her raised chin, her dry eyes, the fury she hadn't quite buried. "Your composure is remarkable," he said quietly. "I'm a lawyer. I've been trained not to show weakness." "What kind of lawyer?" "Corporate. Mergers and acquisitions. Contract law." She didn't know why she was answering this stranger's questions. Something flickered in his expression, interest, maybe calculation. "Nola Addison. I've heard your name. You handled the Sinclair-Monroe merger last year." That surprised her. "You follow corporate law?" A slight smile touched his mouth, there and gone. "I follow many things. I'm Yoon Sung-hoon." The name meant nothing to her, but the way he said it suggested it should. He spoke in Korean to Hae-won, his tone gentle but firm. The child sighed dramatically but slid off the sofa. Sang-hoon paused at the door, his dark eyes finding Nola's again. "For what it's worth, any man who would humiliate you publicly is a fool. You deserve better than that." Then they were gone, leaving Nola alone with the ghost of his words and the strange feeling that something significant had just happened, though she couldn't name what. 2 weeks later, Nola's life had become unrecognizable. The altar video had gone viral. Someone had live-streamed Christopher's speech. Her law firm had called her into a wellness meeting to discuss her emotional state after she'd eviscerated opposing counsel in a deposition. Her father wasn't speaking to her, furious about the family scandal. Her mother kept trying to arrange meetings with Ife to heal the family. Nola had stopped answering her phone. She was working late at the office, the city lights of Atlanta spread below her window, when her assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "Ms. Addison, there's a Yoon Sang-hoon here to see you. No appointment, but he says it's important." The name took a moment to place. The man from the wedding. The one with the perceptive daughter. "Send him in." He entered her office like he owned it, and Nola's professional instincts kicked in immediately. Everything about him screamed power and danger, from his perfectly tailored suit to the way he moved with predatory grace. No child with him this time. This was pure business. "I need a lawyer," he said without preamble. Nola leaned back in her chair, studying him. "I don't do criminal defense." His smile was sharp enough to cut. "Who said anything about criminal? I run several galleries and auction houses. The acquisitions process requires sophisticated contract negotiation. My previous attorney is retiring early due to a federal investigation into his other clients." He settled into the chair across from her without being invited. "I need someone brilliant, clean, and discreet." "Why me?" "You're the best corporate attorney under 35 in Atlanta. You have impeccable credentials. Your family connections to the judiciary are valuable. And right now," his eyes held hers, "you have nothing to lose and everything to prove." It should have offended her. It didn't. It was simply true. "What kind of acquisitions?" Nola kept her voice neutral. "Art, antiquities, private collections. I broker sales between wealthy collectors, manage estate liquidations, operate galleries in Atlanta, New York, and Seoul. All legitimate business that requires airtight contracts. Your previous lawyer is under federal investigation, and you expect me to believe everything is legitimate? I expect you to be smart enough to know that legitimate business still needs legal protection, especially when competitors would love to find vulnerabilities." He slid a folder across her desk. "My offer." Nola opened it. The salary made her blink. Triple her current income, plus performance bonuses that would put her in a different tax bracket entirely. "I can't leave my firm immediately. I have cases already handled. They'll release you in 2 weeks with a full recommendation. I can be very persuasive." That should have terrified her. Instead, heat sparked in her stomach, anger or intrigue, she couldn't tell which. "You negotiated my exit before I agreed?" "I'm efficient. It's how I built my business." Nola stood, walking to her window to think. Christopher was marrying Ife in 2 months. Her family was in shambles. Her firm was already distancing themselves from the scandal. She could stay, rebuild slowly, maintain respectability. Or she could take a risk with this dangerous, compelling stranger who looked at her like she was valuable, not damaged. "Why do you really want me, Mr. Yoon?" She heard him stand, felt him approach until he was close enough that she could smell his cologne, expensive, subtle, with an edge of something darker. "Because I watched you stand at that altar and face humiliation with your head high," he said quietly. Because you didn't cry or beg or break. Because I need someone with a spine of steel who won't crumble under pressure. And because, his voice dropped lower. You're angry, Ms. Addison. Angry people are motivated. Nola turned to face him. They were close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. This close, she could see gold flecks in the darkness, could feel the heat radiating from him. I'll need complete access to all business records for due diligence. Of course. And I won't be complicit in anything illegal. If I find something, I walk. His smile was almost admiring. You'll find everything meticulously legal, if creatively structured. It wasn't a no. It was a warning wrapped in a promise. What was she getting herself into? Nola extended her hand. You have yourself a lawyer, Mr. Yoon. His handshake was firm, warm, and lasted a beat too long. Call me Sang-hoon. We'll be working very closely. The way he said closely made something low in her stomach tighten. Nola pulled her hand back, professional mask firmly in place. When do I start? Monday. I'll send a car. He was already moving toward the door with that same controlled grace. And Ms. Addison? Don't research me too thoroughly. You'll only find what I want you to find. Then he was gone, leaving Nola alone with a job offer that felt like stepping off a cliff in the dark. Monday arrived with a black Mercedes and a driver who didn't make small talk. Nola's new office was in a converted historic building in downtown Atlanta, all exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. The lower floors housed Sang-hoon's flagship gallery. She caught glimpses of paintings worth more than her student loans as they passed through. His personal office was on the top floor, and Nola's was directly adjacent. Close enough to be convenient, close enough to feel deliberate. The work was legitimately complex. Acquisition contracts for art pieces worth millions, partnership agreements with international galleries, estate liquidation deals with old money families desperate to sell quietly. Nola dove in, and for the first time in weeks, her mind quieted. This was what she was good at, finding the angles, structuring the protection, making sure every I was dotted and every T was crossed. But she noticed things. Clients who paid in cash for six-figure purchases. Provenance documents that were technically legal but raised questions. Meetings Sang-hoon took behind closed doors where everyone spoke in Korean. The way people looked at him, not just respect but fear. Ms. Addison. Nola looked up from her contract review to find Sang-hoon in her doorway. 3 days in, and she still hadn't gotten used to the way he commanded space just by existing. The Rothschild estate contract needs your review before tonight. Can you stay late? Of course. His eyes held hers for a moment. You're adapting well. To what? To my world. Before she could ask what he meant, a small tornado in a school uniform burst past him. Nola. Hae-won ran straight to her, backpack bouncing. Nola's professional composure cracked into a genuine smile. Hey, sweetie. How was school? Boring. Can we draw? Nola glanced at Sang-hoon, who watched them with an expression she couldn't read. I have work. Hae-won, let Ms. Addison work. His voice was gentle but firm. The child's face fell. Nola found herself saying, 30 minutes. Then I really do have to finish this contract. Hae-won's entire face lit up. She dragged a chair next to Nola's desk, pulled out crayons, and started drawing with the intense focus only children possessed. Sang-hoon hesitated in the doorway, something soft crossing his features before his usual control returned. Thank you, he said quietly, then left them alone. It became a routine. Hae-won arrived after school, cared for by Sang-hoon's mother who lived with them. The child would do homework in Nola's office, or draw, or chatter about her day while Nola reviewed contracts. 30 minutes turned into an hour, then longer. Nola told herself it was just kindness to a sweet kid. She was lying to herself, and she knew it. Hae-won was filling some space in her chest that the altar disaster had carved out. 2 weeks in, everything shifted. Nola was deep in the Rothschild contract when raised voices pulled her attention. Sang-hoon's office. A man speaking rapid, angry Korean. Then Sang-hoon's voice, cold as death, saying something that made the other man go silent. Complete, terrifying silence. The man left minutes later, pale and shaking, escorted by 2 of Sang-hoon's security team. Nola's hands had stilled on her keyboard, heart pounding. Sang-hoon appeared in her doorway moments later, perfectly composed like nothing had happened. "You're here late. Big contract. The Rothschild estate." Her voice was steadier than she felt. "Find any issues?" "3 clauses that need tightening. I'll have revisions by morning." He nodded, studying her face. "What did you hear?" "I don't speak Korean." "You're a skilled liar when you need to be, Ms. Addison." Nola met his dark eyes. "I heard a business disagreement. You resolved it. That's not my concern unless it affects the legal contracts." Something like approval flickered across his face. "You're smarter than my previous lawyer. He asked too many questions." "Is that why he's under federal investigation?" "No. That's because he was sloppy." Sang-hoon moved into her office, and the space suddenly felt smaller. "I'm never sloppy." "Good to know." They stood there, tension crackling between them like a live wire. Then Sang-hoon's phone buzzed. He checked it, and whatever he saw made his expression shutter completely. "Go home, Ms. Addison. The contract can wait until morning." It was an order, gently delivered. Nola packed up, but as she passed his office, she saw him pour a drink, staring out at the city with exhaustion written into every line of his body. For just a moment, he wasn't the intimidating boss. He was a man carrying weight that would crush most people. Nola kept walking, but the image stayed with her. A month in, and Nola's life had developed a rhythm she hadn't expected. Work consumed her days, complex contracts that tested every skill she'd developed. But the evenings had become something else entirely. Dinner with Sang-hoon and Hae-won. It started practically. Late meeting, easier to order in, Hae-won was already there. But it became routine. They'd eat together in the conference room, Hae-won chattering about school while Sang-hoon listened with complete focus, and Nola found herself laughing at the child's dramatic retellings. And then Mia said my drawing was ugly, but teacher said it was creative, which is better than pretty, right Nola? Much better, Nola agreed, stealing a spring roll from Sang-hoon's plate without thinking. He raised an eyebrow, amused. "Help yourself." "I did, thanks." Hae-won giggled. "Daddy never shares food. You must be special." The comment hung in the air. Nola's eyes met Sang-hoon's across the table, and something electric passed between them before he looked away, jaw tight. "Finish your vegetables, Hae-won. These dinners revealed things. Sang-hoon spoke to his daughter in Korean and English interchangeably, patient even when she tested boundaries. He asked Nola about her cases, actually listened to her answers, challenged her thinking in ways that made her sharper. And sometimes, when he thought she wasn't looking, she'd catch him watching her with an intensity that made her skin feel too tight. One evening, Hae-won fell asleep against Nola's shoulder during a movie they'd put on in the conference room. Nola sat very still, breathing in the child's shampoo scent, feeling a fierce protectiveness she had no right to feel. "She's gotten attached to you." Sang-hoon's voice was quiet, careful. "I'm attached to her too," Nola admitted. "Her mother died 3 years ago. Car accident. She barely remembers her." Nola's heart clenched. "I'm sorry." Hae-won hasn't been this comfortable with anyone since. He stood, gently lifting his daughter from Nola's shoulder. "Thank you. For being kind to her." "It's not kindness. I genuinely like her." Sang-hoon paused, Hae-won cradled against his chest, and looked at Nola with something raw in his eyes. "That's what makes it matter." He left to put Hae-won in his car, but when he returned, he draped his suit jacket over Nola's shoulders. She'd fallen asleep in her chair, exhausted from a 14-hour day. She woke an hour later to find the jacket still warm, smelling like his cologne and something distinctly him. Her heart did something dangerous in her chest, and she knew she was in trouble. 6 weeks in, and Nola couldn't deny it anymore. She was falling for her boss. It was in the small things. The way he brought her coffee exactly how she liked it without asking. How he'd taken to standing close enough when reviewing contracts that she could feel his body heat. The way his voice dropped lower when he said her name. How he'd started calling her Nola instead of Ms. Addison when they were alone. But he never crossed the line. Never touched her beyond professional necessity. Never acknowledged the tension that made the air thick every time they were in the same room. It was driving her insane. "You're distracted." Sang-hoon's voice cut through her thoughts. They were alone in his office, reviewing a sensitive acquisition contract. Atlanta sparkled beyond the windows, the city spread out like scattered diamonds. Sorry. Long day. He moved closer, leaning over her shoulder to point at a clause on her laptop screen. Close enough that his breath stirred her hair. This section needs adjustment. The termination clause is too vague. Nola couldn't concentrate on the words. Every nerve ending was focused on his proximity, the heat of him, the way his sleeve brushed her shoulder. Nola. His voice had gone rough. Are you listening? She turned her head, and suddenly they were inches apart. His dark eyes dropped to her mouth, and she watched his jaw clench with the effort of control. No, she whispered. I'm not. For one breathless moment, she thought he'd kiss her. His hand came up, fingers almost touching her cheek. His phone rang, shattering the moment. Sang-hoon jerked back like he'd been burned, answering in clipped Korean. Whatever the call was about made his expression go ice-cold. When he hung up, he didn't look at her. It's late. You should go home. Son. Good night, Ms. Addison. The formality was a slap. Nola gathered her things, fury and frustration warring in her chest. At the door, she turned back. He stood at his window, hands in his pockets, shoulders rigid. One of these days, she said quietly, you're going to tell me why you keep pulling away. She left before he could answer, missing the way his hands curled into fists, missing the way he pressed his forehead to the cold glass and whispered, because you deserve better than me. But the universe had other plans. Because the next day, everything changed. Jung Dae-young walked into Nola's office with a smile that was all charm and a contract that needed her review. He was Korean, early 30s, ran a competing gallery with completely legitimate business. Handsome, cultured, and within 5 minutes of conversation, clearly interested. I've heard excellent things about your work, Dae-young said, his English perfect and unaccented. Sang-hoon is lucky to have you. I'm good at my job. I'm sure you're good at many things. His smile was warm, appreciative. Perhaps we could discuss some potential collaboration over coffee? It was smoothly done, professional enough to be business, but personal enough to be clear. Nola started to politely decline, but movement in her peripheral vision made her glance at the doorway. Sang-hoon stood there, and the look in his eyes was pure murder. Dae-young followed Nola's gaze and stood immediately, bowing slightly. Son. I was just leaving. Good. Sang-hoon's voice could have frozen fire. He didn't move from the doorway, forcing Dae-young to squeeze past him. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. When they were alone, Sang-hoon's eyes locked on Nola. What did he want? To discuss a contract. And to ask me to coffee. His jaw tightened. And I haven't answered yet. Nola kept her voice level, but something reckless stirred in her chest. Is that a problem? Jung Dae-young is a business associate. He's your business associate. Not mine. I can see whoever I want outside of work. Sang-hoon moved into her office, and Nola's breath caught. She'd seen him intimidating before, but this was different. This was barely controlled rage wrapped in expensive tailoring. Are you interested in him? The question was quiet, dangerous. Nola stood, refusing to be cornered behind her desk. Why do you care? I don't want complications in business relationships. Then the question is whether you're comfortable with complications. I'm perfectly capable of separating professional and personal. She moved closer, tilting her chin up. Can you say the same? They were toe-to-toe now, close enough that she could see his pulse hammering in his throat. His control was fracturing, and some wild part of her wanted to shatter it completely. Ms. Addison. It's Nola. You've been calling me Nola for weeks. Don't hide behind formality now. His hands flexed at his sides like he was physically restraining himself from touching her. This is inappropriate. We passed inappropriate when I started having dinner with your daughter 3 nights a week. When you started bringing me coffee. When you gave me your jacket and watched me sleep. You were awake for that? I'm always awake around you. The confession escaped before she could stop it. Sang-hoon's eyes went molten. For one heartbeat too, she thought he'd finally close the distance between them. Then he stepped back, control slamming into place like a steel door. Do what you want. It's not my concern. His voice was arctic. But if you're going to date business associates, keep it discreet. I won't have my company compromised. He walked out, leaving Nala shaking with fury and frustration and something dangerously close to heartbreak. Fine. If he wanted to play it that way, she'd call his bluff. When Dae-young called that afternoon to invite her to an art exhibition, Nala accepted. She told herself it was because she genuinely enjoyed art. She was lying to herself again, and she knew it. She wanted to see what Sang-hoon would do. She wore a red dress that hugged every curve, her natural hair styled in elegant curls that took an hour to perfect. She looked stunning, and she knew it. Sang-hoon's face when she walked past his office to leave was worth every minute of preparation. His eyes went dark, tracking her movement like a predator watching prey. His hand tightened around his pen hard enough that she heard it crack. Enjoy your evening, Ms. Addison. The words were ground glass. Thank you. Don't work too late. She smiled sweetly and left him there, drowning in jealousy he refused to name. The date was fine. Dae-young was charming, knowledgeable about art, made her laugh. They talked about everything, her work, his gallery, the Atlanta art scene. He was kind, successful, completely legitimate. And he wasn't Sang-hoon. Every time Dae-young smiled, Nala compared it to the rare, devastating smile Sang-hoon reserved for Hae-won. When Dae-young touched her arm lightly while explaining a painting's history, she thought about Sang-hoon's restraint, how he never let himself touch her. When Dae-young looked at her with open admiration, she craved the intensity of Sang-hoon's dark eyes. At the end of the night, Dae-young walked her to her car. I had a wonderful time. Me too. He leaned in, and Nala knew he was going to kiss her. She turned her head at the last second, his lips brushing her cheek instead. I'm sorry, she said quietly. This was lovely, but I can't do this again. I'm not available. Dae-young pulled back, studying her face with kind eyes. The boss. She didn't confirm, but her silence was answer enough. He smiled sadly. He's a lucky man. I hope he's smart enough to see it. That makes one of us. Nala drove back to the office, knowing she'd left files she needed for the morning. Knowing it was an excuse. Knowing Sang-hoon would still be there because he was always there, married to his work and his secrets and whatever demons kept him awake. She found him in his office at midnight, whiskey in hand, staring out at the city skyline like it held answers he couldn't find. You're back early. He didn't turn around. Forgot something. How was the date? Fine. Just fine. Why do you care, Sang-hoon? Nala was tired of this dance, tired of the walls, tired of wanting someone who wouldn't let himself want her back. He finally turned, and the raw pain in his eyes stole her breath. I don't. You're a terrible liar. Nala said. I'm an excellent liar. It's a professional requirement. Then why can't you lie to me convincingly? He slammed the glass down hard enough that whiskey sloshed over the rim. Because you make me forget how. The words exploded out of him. You walk in here in that dress for another man, and I want to, he switched to Korean, a string of words she didn't understand but felt in her bones. Want to what? This is inappropriate. We passed inappropriate months ago. Nala closed the distance between them. You watch me like I'm air and you're drowning. You bring me coffee and share your daughter and look at me like I matter. Then you shove me away the second we get close. I'm done with the mixed signals. You're my employee. Then fire me. I can't. The confession ripped out of him, raw and devastating. Then quieter, God help me, I can't. The words hung between them, heavy with everything unsaid. Why not? Nala's voice gentle despite her anger. Because Hae-won needs you. Because my business needs you. Because he stopped, jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping. Because you what? He was in front of her in 2 strides, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. Close enough that she could smell whiskey and his cologne and the desperation coming off him in waves. Because I'm selfish enough to keep you close even when I know I shouldn't. Even when you deserve someone like Dae-young, clean, legitimate, safe. I don't want safe. You don't know what you're saying. I'm a corporate lawyer working for a criminal organization. The words were quiet, deliberate. I structure your money laundering contracts and smile at your art theft clients and pretend I don't see the blood. I stopped wanting safe the day I took your offer. Sang-hoon's hand came up, fingers grazing her cheek with devastating gentleness. I'm not a good man, Nala. I don't care. You should. His thumb traced her bottom lip, and she felt him trembling with the effort of restraint. God, you should run from me. I don't run. The kiss broke like a storm, desperate, furious, months of tension released in a heartbeat. His hands cupped her face, her fingers twisted in his shirt, and the world narrowed to his mouth on hers and the sound he made low in his throat when she bit his bottom lip. Then he pulled back, breathing hard, pressing his forehead to hers. No. Not like this. Not when you're angry, not when I've been drinking, not when you went on a date with another man tonight. Son. When I have you, it won't be because of jealousy or games or impulse. His voice was rough, his hands still cradling her face like she was something precious. It'll be because you've chosen this, me, my world, the darkness, with full understanding. So I'm asking you to go home. Think about what this means. And if you still want this tomorrow, we'll talk. It was the hardest thing he'd ever done, letting her walk away. But he needed her to choose him with clear eyes, knowing exactly what she'd be getting. Nala left, but not before pressing one more kiss to his mouth. I already know my answer. The question is whether you're brave enough to accept it. She walked out, leaving him standing there with the taste of her on his lips and his heart hammering against his ribs. The next day, Nala didn't come to the office. Sang-hoon was climbing walls by noon. She'd sent a message, taking a personal day. We'll be in tomorrow. He respected it. Barely. That night, he had business, the kind that required his personal attention. A rival organization thought they could move product through one of his galleries. They were wrong. Sang-hoon explained why with his fists and cold, brutal efficiency. The man who'd thought he could steal from Yoon Sang-hoon learned otherwise. Violently. Sang-hoon returned to his penthouse at 2 a.m, blood on his knuckles, soul heavy with the weight of what he was. A criminal. A killer when necessary. A man who built empires on foundations of violence and fear. What was he thinking, wanting someone like Nala in this world? He poured whiskey in his kitchen, staring at his damaged knuckles, and froze. Nala sat in his living room. How did you get in? His voice came out rougher than intended. Your mother gave me a key last week. Said I should feel welcome to visit Haewon any time. My mother is a meddler. She loves you. He should tell her to leave. Instead, he poured a second glass and brought it to her. She took it but didn't drink, just watched him with those sharp eyes that saw too much. Where were you tonight? She asked quietly. Business. What kind of business leaves blood on your hands? He looked down. He'd forgotten to clean up. Too tired, too heartsick, too done with pretending. The kind you don't ask about. I'm asking. Sang-hoon sat down heavily across from her, suddenly exhausted. A rival organization tried to move drugs through one of my galleries. I explained why that was a mistake. He and his associates understand now. Did you kill anyone? Not tonight. But I have and I will again. He waited for her to flinch, to run, to finally see him clearly and leave. She stood cross to him and took his damaged hand in hers. Let me clean this. In his bathroom, Nala sat him on the edge of the massive tub and found first aid supplies with the ease of someone who belonged there. She cleaned his knuckles with gentle efficiency, and Sang-hoon watched her face, focused, careful, not a trace of fear or disgust. You're not afraid, he said, voice low. I'm terrified. But not of you. Then what? Of how much I want this. She met his eyes, hers blazing with determination. You. Haewon. This life that makes no sense for a judge's daughter who is supposed to marry safe and proper. You deserve better. Stop telling me what I deserve. I'm smart enough to decide that myself. She finished bandaging his hand but didn't let go. Her fingers traced the white gauze, then moved up his wrist, his forearm, mapping the corded muscle there. I went home last night and made a list, she said quietly. Pros and cons of getting involved with you. And the cons list was longer. You're a criminal. You're dangerous. You operate in a world that could get me disbarred, arrested, or killed. You have enemies. You make decisions I might not agree with. You've killed people. She looked up, and her eyes were wet but clear. The cons list was very, very long. His chest ached. Nola. The pros list had one item. Which was that I'm already in love with you, so the rest doesn't matter. The confession hit him like a physical blow. Sang-hoon's breath left in a rush, his undamaged hand coming up to cup her face. You can't. I love you. I love your daughter. I love the way you code switch between languages when you're stressed. I love how you're terrifying in meetings but soft when you read Hae-won bedtime stories. I love that you're honest about what you are instead of pretending. I love. He kissed her. Desperate, gentle, pouring everything he couldn't say into the press of his mouth against hers. When they finally broke apart, he was trembling. I don't know how to do this, he admitted, voice raw. How to be with someone in this life. My wife, what happened to her? I can't survive losing someone again. Your wife died in a car accident. You said so. I lied. The confession cost him. She was killed. Retaliation against me by a rival organization. They ran her off the road, made it look like an accident. Hae-won was in the car. She survived. My wife didn't. Nola's hand tightened on his. I'm so sorry. I killed every single person responsible. Slowly. And I'd do it again. His dark eyes bored into hers. That's who I am. That's what I'm capable of. Are you sure you want this? I'm sure. There's no safe in my world. Then we'll be dangerous together. He laughed, the sound broken and beautiful. You're supposed to be the logical one. Logic got me left at the altar by a mediocre man who chose my sister. Maybe it's time to be illogical. Sang-hoon pulled her into his lap, cradling her against his chest like she was infinitely precious. I'm in love with you, he said first in Korean, then English. I've been in love with you since you stood in that library in your wedding dress with fire in your eyes. I tried not to be. I failed spectacularly. Good. I'm still a criminal. I'm still dangerous. People I do business with are worse than me. Your family will hate this. And I'm selfish enough that I'll keep you anyway. I'm Sting. I'm choosing you, Sang-hoon. The darkness, the danger, all of it. He kissed her again, slower this time, thorough and claiming. If you stay, you're mine. Fully. I don't share, I don't do casual, and I will burn down anyone who tries to hurt you. Possessive much? You have no idea. Show me. He did. 3 months later, Nola had settled into a life that would have terrified the woman who stood at that altar. She lived in Sang-hoon's penthouse now, woke up in his bed, had breakfast with Hae-won before school. She'd become essential to his operations, not just the legal side, but his partner in strategy, the person he trusted to see everything. Her family had imploded when they found out. Her father disowned her. Her mother cried. Aoife tried to apologize, 8 months pregnant and miserable with Christopher, but Nola felt nothing for her anymore. Not hatred, not love. Just indifference. I don't forgive you, she told Aoife calmly. But I don't hate you either. I found something better. A criminal? Aoife's voice had been sharp with judgment. A man who would never humiliate me. Who chose me every single day. Who sees exactly who I am and loves me anyway. Can Christopher say the same about you? Aoife had no answer. But loving Sang-hoon meant accepting all of him. And one night, everything came crashing down. Nola was home with Hae-won when Sang-hoon called. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone but me or my security. There's a situation. What kind of situation? The kind where people might use you to get to me. I'm handling it, but I need you safe. 20 minutes later, gunshots echoed from the parking garage. Nola grabbed Hae-won, her heart hammering, and locked them in the master bedroom's panic room, a feature she'd thought was paranoid until this moment. Through the security cameras, she watched Sang-hoon and his men engage with armed intruders. She watched the man she loved kill 3 people with brutal efficiency. Hae-won was crying. Nola held her, singing softly, while watching Sang-hoon become someone else entirely, cold, lethal, merciless. When it was over, when the bodies were being removed and the cleanup crew arrived, Sang-hoon came for them. Blood spattered his shirt, murder still in his eyes until he saw them safe. Then he just looked exhausted. Appa. Hae-won ran to him. He scooped her up, checking her over frantically. You're okay? Both of you. We're fine. Nola's voice was steady even though she was shaking. What happened? Rival organization thought they could use you as leverage. They were wrong. He put Haewon down gently. Baby, go with Grandma for a minute. I need to talk to Nala. When they were alone, Sang-hoon couldn't meet her eyes. This is what I meant. This is why you should run. I'm not running. You could have died. Haewon could have died. Because of me, because of what I am. Stop. Nala took his face in her hands, forcing him to look at her. I'm not going anywhere. Yes, I was terrified. Yes, this is insane. But I chose you knowing this was possible. I'm choosing you now, covered in blood and guilt. I'm choosing all of it. Why? His voice broke. Because you're worth it. Because Haewon is worth it. Because this family we're building is worth every risk. He kissed her desperately, tasting like fear and relief and love so fierce it hurt. A year later, Sang-hoon took Nala to a private gallery showing. Art he'd acquired legitimately for once, including several pieces by African artists she'd mentioned wanting to see. I thought you'd like these before they go to auction. She was moved, touring the collection with genuine appreciation. Then she noticed one painting hadn't been catalogued, a custom portrait of her, Sang-hoon, and Haewon from Haewon's 7th birthday party. This one's not for auction, Sang-hoon said quietly. This one's for our home. If you'll make it permanent. He dropped to one knee, pulling out a ring box, a stunning diamond flanked by sapphires. I can't promise you safety. I can't promise you easy. But I promise you're mine for as long as you'll have me, and I'm yours completely. Marry me, Nala. Build this dangerous, beautiful life with me. Haewon burst from behind a sculpture where she'd been hiding. Say yes. Say yes. Nala laughed through tears. You coached her. She insisted. She's very invested in the outcome. Nala looked at this man, criminal, killer, art dealer, father, her everything, and the little girl who owned her heart. Yes. To all of it. Yes. 2 years after that, Nala stood in the penthouse that was fully theirs now, reviewing contracts for a major acquisition. She was no longer just Sang-hoon's lawyer, she was his partner in every sense. Her career had taken an unconventional path, but she was one of the most sought-after attorneys in Atlanta for complex international acquisitions. Everyone knew what that meant. No one said it out loud. Mama. Haewon, 9 now, burst in. Can we go to the gallery? Dad's stuck with the scary meeting. I'm not technically your mama yet. Nala teased. Close enough. Sang-hoon appeared, on the phone in rapid Korean with someone who was clearly regretting their life choices. He covered the phone. Can you take her? This is running long. Gallery, then ice cream, then homework. You're perfect. He kissed her quickly, then returned to the call, voice dropping to dangerous levels. Nala watched him shift from loving partner to ruthless boss in seconds. She should be afraid. She wasn't. She chose this. The darkness and the light. The danger and the love. As she left with Haewon chattering excitedly, Nala thought about the woman who stood at that altar 3 years ago. That woman wanted perfect, wanted safe, wanted expected. This woman, Nala Yoon in 3 weeks, wanted real. And real was messy, dangerous, complicated, and absolutely perfect. Sometimes love doesn't arrive in white dresses and perfect plans. Sometimes it arrives in ruins, wrapped in danger, held together by a little girl's hug and a man brave enough to love with blood on his hands. Nala wouldn't change a single thing. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed Nala and Sang-hoon's story, please like this video and hit that subscribe button for more Afro-Korean romance stories. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought. We love hearing from you. Which moment was your favorite? Let us know, and we'll see you in the next story.